Hello everyone and welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, today is going to be a wild one even by my standards, so please stick with it. And before we start, can you click the buttons below, the like, the follow, the subscribe and the bell notification so you don't miss a video when I drop them? Right, listen, today we're going to be talking, I'm going to give you guys a Ukraine update. I'm going to tell you what's been happening on the Russian front. I'm going to tell you what's been happening in Germany. There's been another attack in Germany with vast similarities to the Southport attack. Obviously, you've got the Southport attacker today being sentenced. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to go with something that is absolutely out there. It's left field. It's insane. It's something I talk about in my personal life. I've not done a video about it before. I'm going to be talking about how I think human life extension is here and it's coming and it's going to come at a rapid rate of knots. And when I mean human life extension, I mean the ability to extend human life, I think indefinitely. You know, human lives are going to be extended to, well, we'll come on to that at the end, guys. So let's just go, first of all, with what's been happening in Ukraine. So as always, I'm going to go on to the share map and give you guys an update from the, update as a situation on the ground. Now, I want you guys to focus here on this city of Dnipro. Now, this city of Dnipro, if you look at it, the lion's share of Dnipro is on the other side of the river Dnipro. I do think Putin wants to take control of this. Don't listen to what people are saying in the newspaper, in the media. I just see that as smoke and mirrors. So as I do this advance and fast forward in the days, I do think that this road here from Pokrovsk to Pavlohrad to Dnipro, I think this little triangular area, if you will, the southern triangle from Zaporizhia, Dnipro to Pokrovsk, I do think that's going to be in Putin's, if not short-term, certainly medium-term goals. So let me just fast forward. This was the situation on the ground the 7th of December. So what are we on? Just over a month back, I guess. Watch how much ground the Russians are taking and then how much ground the Ukrainians are taking back, which is none. Now, these only seem like small movements, but these all added together equate to very large movements. My friend I was speaking to in Ukraine, I said, can you quantify this? He said, the Russians are taking about 20 square kilometers per day. Look at this town here, Valyeka Novosilka. That is pretty much gone. Valyeka Novosilka is gone. You know, there's no exit route now for anybody in there. This road that comes east-west, and there's another road that goes like, here it is, north-south. That has been cut off. So there's anybody left here now in Valyeka Novosilka. Those guys have been, I guess, entombed unless they want to try and cross this river. And if they try and cross this river, there's going to be indirect fire. And, it's just going to be a bad day out for everyone. So I do think the situation on the ground in Ukraine is going from bad to worse. When people are talking about peace talks, peace negotiations, when Donald Trump's talking about a deal, what does he mean by a deal? What do we mean by a deal? The Ukrainians certainly won't cede land for, peace. And to have any, to have any peace or to have any lasting ceasefire, you need something physical on the ground. And I've said from day one back in 2022, in fact, even further than that, up to the river Dnipro seems like the logical, not logistical, although it is logistical as well. The river Dnipro seems like the logical ceasefire point. So if Vladimir Putin can make it up to the river Dnipro, he's got something he can fall back on. The river Dnipro itself, it's not a short river. Let's see how far, short. I mean, not it's. Hang on. So 1.7 kilometers there. Obviously, it's shorter in some points, but some points it's longer. So it is, when we talk about the river Dnipro, it is a huge river. Anyway, guys, so that's the situation on the ground, actually what's happening right there at the moment. Now, a few strange things have been coming out from Ukraine. I'll put this article in the description, but I had to read this a couple of times before I understood what it was saying. You'll see where I'm going. Captured North Korean soldier refused to drop sausage at gunpoint, Ukraine says. You know, I thought this was a typo, but it's not. A North Korean soldier was found wounded in a trench by Russian soldiers, risked his life by refusing to drop his sausage. Now, again, when I read up to this point, I thought, right, okay, what do they mean here by sausage? I'll continue. The Ukrainian paratrooper who captured him said he was lying there with his head and his arm wounded. He had a grenade, a knife, and a sausage on him. Again, I still thought this was part of a joke. A soldier from Ukraine's 95th Air Assault Brigade said in a clip published on Ukrainian's military. I asked him to drop everything. I don't know if he speaks Korean, but whatever. I asked him to drop everything, but he refused to drop the sausage because it was food, so we let him keep it. So, you know, you can see the depravity now of the North Korean soldiers. You can see what conditions that these North Koreans, you know, what these guys are faced with, how they're being treated. And, you know, you can only assume that this, you know, this culture expands into North Korea itself. When people say that, you know, oh, Sean, it's not World War III, we're not going to have World War III. You know, my response to them is, look at the human toll. Look at the human toll and the suffering that's going on right now. Just in Ukraine, I mean, you can of course go and look what's the suffering in other parts of the Middle East. You know, certainly Gaza, you know, by no means least. You know, but we've got all these, you know, these mass events, mass casualties, mass human loss. You know, and then we've got this situation where we've got North Koreans. Absolutely, like their training, their morale, their kit, their equipment, it must be at a absolute substandard to what we would like absolute substandard to what we would expect in the West. But remember, that's not how the Russians, you know, that is how the Russians fight. Here in the West, we're very, you know, we're very good at laughing at these people and saying, oh, you know, look at your conscripts. You know, your conscripts, they can't even. They're too hungry. They don't have weapons. Yes, that's true. But remember, that's how the Russians fight. That's how the Russian military is geared up. Because don't forget, essentially, every Russian citizen is a conscript. They can push those guys forwards. I've given you guys videos before on how the front line in Ukraine set up, where there's a 5-kilometer buffer zone of poorly trained, poorly armed, poorly motivated conscripts. Now that 5 kilometers of conscripts, it's not there to, you know, it's not there to win battles. It's not there to push forwards. All those conscripts are there to do is to slow any advance down, and that's what they're doing. Any surges forward, any drives forward, they're done by Russian Spetsnaz, and those Russian Spetsnaz are kept well behind that front line, that buffer zone. So the whole battlefield really is shaping up now, and people are starting to understand the deficiencies that the West have. And by deficiencies, I mean deficiencies in numbers, deficiencies in heavy armor, deficiencies in artillery, and deficiencies in manufacturing capacity. You know, the West's manufacturing capacity, you know, Donald Trump saying that the West needs to spend 5% GDP on, you know, on defense. I would say we're spending enough on defense. We need to get rid of the red tape. We need to get rid of the red tape that is highly restrictive. You know, we need to stop spending money on the, you know, we need to start buying cheaper stuff that can be easily produced, rather than having the most advanced drone with the most advanced sensors that's put together by the technicians who've got 10 degrees, and you know, and you pay them $100,000 a year to solder some little bits of, you know, wires together. That stuff can be done a lot cheaper, you know, and that's what we need to start to do. And until we do that, we can't meet Russia's military-industrial complex. So that's an update on Ukraine. Now, I want to go quickly over to Germany. Shall I go to Germany? Yeah, I'll go to Germany first. So I'm just going to share this article with you guys because it's from the BBC, and I feel if I'm sharing it from the BBC, I can't be, you know, I can't be accused of anything. Right. So, toddler and man fatally stabbed in German park. A 2-year-old boy and a man aged 41 have been killed in a stabbing in a German park. Police confirmed that a 28-year-old man from Afghanistan was arrested following the attack in Bavarian city of, I'm not going to even try and pronounce that. 2 others were taken to hospital with serious injuries, and the public park was cordoned off by officers. Now, that's what that article is telling us. So we can take from this that the facts, a 2-year-old boy and a man have gone now. Their families, that 2-year-old boy is never going to have a life. The 41-year-old man, he's gone, his family. Like, I cannot even come to contemplate what that family, what's happening, how that family feel now. Now, from reports on other social media platforms, now these are unconfirmed reports. I don't know if they're true or not, but what I will say is a lot of this information comes out on social media first, and then it's the mainstream media are pretty late when they're pushing this forwards. But it turns out that this was a kindergarten trip, and it was like a school trip, a kindergarten trip, a daycare trip to a park. So again, first of all, like, what was a 28-year-old man doing there, regardless whether this was an Afghan man or not, although I will come on to that? Why are, like, grown men hanging around kids in parks? First of all, what is that? Now, I've done videos before and about Chai boys and the whole culture involving young boys in Afghanistan. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen, go down it with your safety catch on and a pillow, because it's a dark path to tread. From my time in the military, I've experienced this stuff firsthand with Afghan men and young boys, and it's not nice. Now, the similarities here where, and again, I'm only speculating. I'm not going to speculate. But the similarities here with the Southport incident, where there's a man of foreign heritage attacking children. So what do we take of that? What can we surmise? What can we surmise from this? It's absolutely disgusting that this sort of stuff keeps happening and happening and happening. And what do the authorities do? They tell us, they won't divide us. We need to stand together, unity, not division. So, like, if this happened to somebody's child, would they feel like there was unity? Or would they want action? It's insane. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading towards the summer of carnage in the United Kingdom. We really are. Remember the Southport, the vile individual in the Southport incident. He's going to be sentenced today, so I'll probably do another video later on once he's been sentenced. I just wanted to put that out there and just let you guys know that because this has not been on the mainstream, it's not been headlining. Sorry, this thing for me with the domestic climate in the United Kingdom. I think people in the United Kingdom need to know this sort of stuff. People in the United Kingdom, they need to know that this sort of stuff, it's happening all over. Because I live and I grew up in Rotherham in the 90s, and there was a lot of things happening at that time, and we just thought it was isolated incidents. If you lived in Rotherham, but it turns out it was countrywide. So I think if people knew that this was happening countrywide, and I think if people knew the cultures, the backgrounds, the demographic, and what's really happening, I think we may have a paradigm shift. Remember, Rupert Lowe, the Reform MP in the United Kingdom, he asked for information on foreign nationals, how many of them were in prison and what they'd been put in prison for. And the government said that information's not for public, it's not for the public domain, and the public don't need to know. I believe that the public do have a right to know. I believe that the public should know the people that are coming here from other countries. What are they? How many of them are in jail? What are they in jail for? And what percentage of those people that come here are in jail? Because when we do that, we can understand for every 100 that come here, statistically, how many of them are going to end up in prison and what crimes are they going to end up in prison for? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna talk about something different now. This is a wild one. I should probably do a standalone video on it, but I'm going to talk now about what's human life extension. So yesterday there was yesterday, or maybe the day before, there was articles released about artificial intelligence in the United States, and I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but Donald Trump was up there. He was talking and he was saying, what can this artificial intelligence achieve? What can it do medically for people? Now, I understand people are hesitant, and I totally accept that with certain medications, and I agree with you. I'm just telling you guys what was said and where I think this leads. So they were talking about this mRNA vaccine that could, they were talking about an artificial intelligence could produce mRNA vaccines that could destroy cancer. Basically, they were saying if they find like small traces of cancer in your cells, in your body, they can then develop an mRNA vaccine using artificial intelligence that can go and destroy that cancer. Well, one of the things I've been following in my personal life is the advances of human life extension. So let me just share this article with you guys now. So this is about telomere extension. This is from Stanford Medicine. So I would say this is a credible article. I'll put these links in the description. Telomere extension turns back aging clock in cultured human cells, studies find. Researchers delivered a modified RNA that encodes a telomere extending protein to cultured human cells. Cell proliferation capacity was dramatically increased, yielding large numbers of cells for studies. So I'll just read you this first. I'll just read you these two paragraphs. In fact, I'll read you both of them. A new procedure can quickly and efficiently increase the length of human telomeres, the protective caps on the end of chromosomes that are linked to aging and disease, according to scientists at the Stanford University School of Medicine. Treated cells behave as if they were much younger than untreated cells, multiplying with abandon in the laboratory dish rather than stagnating or dying. So as I understand it, and I may be wrong on this, and I may be slightly wrong, but the outcome's the same. When you grow, when you age, you get to a certain age, and then your cells start to degrade, and this is because your telomeres start to shorten. Now, the shorter your telomeres, the quicker you age. Basically, that's why some people look really old, and people like myself, obviously, look really young because I want to extend my life as long as possible. I keep fit. I go to the gym. I eat well. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. So I try and keep my body as as well looked after as I can. So as your telomeres shorten, your cells, when they replicate, they degrade. Now that's hence aging. Now, as I understand this technology, they would increase the telomere length, so your cells would grow younger. Now, again, this sounds absolutely insane, but that's my understanding of it. So as your telomeres increase, your cells would rejuvenate. So again, this is my understanding of it, would be that if your nana and your granddad started to take this medication, your telomeres would grow longer. From the article I've just shown you, your telomeres would grow longer, so your cells would replicate at a rate that would make them stronger. So essentially, your nana and your granddad or whoever would start to grow younger. Your cells would replicate again, so they were stronger and they would get back to their strongest point. Now, the problem with this cell replication is the onset of cancer when you do this. Now, this mRNA vaccine these vaccines that they're talking about now, I believe this is gonna usher us forwards into, you take the mRNA vaccine along with the the telomere medication, And there you have, like, almost instantly, you know, life extension. And life extension now, if you're rejuvenating these cells, there's no reason why people can't literally live hundreds, if not thousands, you know, literally live forever with this technology. Now, can you imagine the advances in in science, if we had Einstein working on the same problem for hundreds of years, if we had Tesla working on the same problems for hundreds of years, you know, and of course, if we could bring back Isaac Newton, who was the OG of science, he's the OG of physics. You know, if we could have these people working on scientific problems for a lot longer than the human lifespan, guys, listen, I really do feel we're about to have a paradigm shift, and I think that this that's just been announced is a huge step forwards. Some people are going to be skeptical. I want to see where this goes, but I really do think human life extension, drastically extending life is. I think it's there. And remember, what people are coming out with in these statements, I believe this is already done and known behind closed doors. Anyway, guys, the jokes of this video, I know this was like wild and thrown about quite a few places. Ukraine, the situation in Ukraine, going from bad to worse. I don't see any peace deal on the cards at the moment. The attack in Germany and the similarities to the attack in Southport. Remember, the Southport attacker is being sentenced today. And human life extension, ladies and gentlemen, I believe it is here. Anyway, I'm going to Max Grid, and I'll get you guys another video later.